Welcome in for the season finale of Flash Life. Let's take a look back at the 2021-22 season for the Flashes and sit down with Randall Richmond for a recap of his first year and what's in store for the future of Kent State, along with behind-the-scenes content from the making of Flash Life. We begin with the fall seasons. The field hockey team obtained another MAC championship for their program. The soccer team would exceed preseason expectations to make an appearance in the MAC championship game. The volleyball team beat Ball State in a wild comeback, becoming the only team in the conference to hand a loss to the Cardinals. And lastly, the football team made their mark, winning the MAC East and heading to Boise for the famous Idaho Potato Bowl. For the season finale, we wanted to hear from someone special in Kent State Athletics. Here's Athletics Director Randale Richmond. Hello everybody and welcome back to Flash Life. I'm Tyler Henry and I am joined this week by a man who needs no introduction, but we'll give him one anyway. It's first, soon to be second year Athletics Director Randall Richmond. Randall, thank you so much for your time today.
Yeah, I'm pleasure to be here. I'm here with a 5-tool player. You know what I mean? Like, we got a lot of those in this department, but you're definitely one of them at the top. So.
Well, we do what we can. So, obviously we're approaching the end of your first year here at Kent State University. We've had a lot of great things happen on the field, in the administration. Year one, take me through some of the highlights of your first year here at Kent State.
Yeah, it's the boring stuff for people, Tyler. It's the background foundation stuff. That is the most exciting thing for me because, the higher you go, the more flimsy it gets. So you're only ever going to be as strong as your foundation. Mm-hmm. Anything in sports, it's always foundation. It starts at that core. So in us establishing the people within the game, from some of our acquisitions in terms of talent, also to us redirecting and reorganizing the department. To me, that was the first most exciting thing. Us bringing Greg Gloss back from Texas Tech. And then us scouring the earth and everyone in athletics to find Suzette McQueen and have her join our team. And then establishing an executive team, in terms of Angie Hall, elevating her for that particular role. And Trent Stratton, who has been a savant here for some time, has been a staple of just good administration over the years. And then Jessie Ely, in terms of me transitioning for this first year and what she's meant to this department, the things that she knows across campus, how she's helped with HR, because it's been a lot in that space. That exec team was very important to me to get established. And then outside of that was our leadership team. Everyone who was a unit leader and making sure that they understood that they weren't just managers over a unit. They were our leaders within a department and how we needed to move in terms of synergy. So to me, that was the first piece. And the second thing that was exciting is more boring stuff for people. It was us setting a new vision, mission, and guiding principle for Kent State Athletics. So we talk about the vision. Well, they're all words until we start to share the definitions, right? So as we're putting different tangible, words and examples and behaviors to these things, now they start to make sense for people. So when we say graduate student athletes boldly prepare for life after sport and win championships, we added that boldly prepare for life after sport. Because if we're just graduating them and they're winning championships, but we're not helping them understand how to be transformation leaders or how they're going to be great citizens and after they graduate or what they're going to use their degrees for, or being boldly confident that they do have a place where they can be successful after they leave here, then we really haven't served them as young people, right? So that part about our mission was important. Then our guiding principle I thought was very important. Student-centered, coach-led, administrator supported. Us defining everyone's role in this, and our students understand that they're the core, and our coaches understand that they're our brand, they're our leaders, they're the ones at the top, and our administrators understand that we are a service-oriented unit, so then our coaches can be great leaders for the experience of our student athletes. These are the people we're here for. So that's the boring stuff, but for me that's exciting because it gives us clear direction or where we're trying to go. Well, now you can travel the world. That's kind of how I look at it. So those were the overarching things. Outside of that, it's been the interactions with people across campus. It's been the interactions of taking our athletics brand and just permeating it out throughout the entire community. All over campus, all over downtown, in the different spaces that we've been, how our student athletes show up, the letters that I get about how they represent themselves in the airport, in different hotels, on the field, court. Like, it's been spectacular. So those are the overarching highlights. But the bowl game wasn't bad at all. The MAC championship games weren't bad at all, and we've had a lot of that going on.
Sure. Well, and again, you build that baseline, and like you said, now you can go around the world. You can do whatever you have to do. But let's talk about some of that success that this program has had on the field. Talking about a football, a men's basketball, and a women's soccer team that made the MAC championship game football team goes to a bowl game. You got a WNIT run for the women's basketball team, and you've got a lot of representation in MAC tournaments. I mean, the women's golf team picks up number 23 in a row, unheard of around the world of athletics, and you've got individual athletes making their mark on a national stage as well. How great is it for you to have that as, I mean, again, kind of the baseline? I know the bar is set pretty high, but, you know, for that to be the baseline for you moving forward.
Yeah, this guy named Dr. Albert Bimpert, and he works over there at Colorado State. We were in his leadership program together back in 2014, 2015, and he talked about this idea of growth and progression. And he said it's about getting to a position where what was once your ceiling is now your floor. And I find that to be so exciting. I find that to be so inspirational, because if this is where we've started and this is what we define as success now, if we get to the point that this is our floor, these are the expectations, this is where we want to be just as a baseline, but our aspirations are so much higher than that, that's what I think continues to drive me and keeps me excited. Once a month, I meet with Lane Kennedy, the former athletic director here. He was the athletic director when I was a graduate assistant. And, you know, I didn't have the time or to access him back then, or he didn't have the time. I had plenty of or really understand, you know, I mean, some of the tropes he was teaching us back then. But he said, Randale, it's always funner to build it than it is to maintain it. So right now, I feel like we're very much in that building stage of where we want to be. For some other people, this is what they built it for. But for us and where we're looking to go, that's not our vision.
Sure. Well, of course, this was a homecoming for you coming back to Kent State University. And, you know, again, for you as an individual, you've talked a lot about your staff, about these teams, but, you know, have you had a chance to kind of finally get settled in here, or is it all just kind of still moving quick?
Yeah, not a chance. No, not settled at all. Not settled at all. And it goes back, you know, so what Lang was said. We are very much in the building stages of it. I mean, very much in the building stages of it. So I feel as if I get to that point where I am starting to feel a little bit settled and comfortable. I need to find something else going to make me uncomfortable. Through discomfort is where growth is, and that's where excitement is. You know, and our body teaches that from the very beginning. My son, he's 12 now. He's going through growing pains. And if I had to stand up, I didn't go through a lot of growing pains, but he's going through a lot more than Dad, and I appreciate that. There's always some discomfort in growth, and so long as, and right now, we're in the midst of it. And I forget who I was talking to, Tyler, but I was telling him, say, hey, listen, how's it going? And, you know, how's the time flying? And I said, well, when I was 7 months in, it felt like I had been here for a year and a half back in this role. Now that I'm almost here at a year, it feels like it's been 6 months.
Sure.
You know, so it's amazing how that perspective changes over time. So not fully settled yet, but I'm excited about that, because that means that we have a lot more that my brain and eyes are going to look to build up and continue to grow with the team.
Sure. This department has had a lot of feathers in their cap so far this year, but one of the biggest ones going into the final few weeks of the season's here, a 2-point lead in the Wagon Wheel Challenge. And I know that every competition is important, but how important is that continued success against Kent State's biggest rival for this program?
Yeah, they're all important, but that one's more important.
Yeah.
And I don't hide from it. I don't mince words about it. Those matter more. And that's just the truth of it for me. When we talk about the school down the road and we talk about rivalries, especially for us schools that are within the group of 5, and even for those Power 5 schools, rivalries continue to be the most important thing that we do for our enterprise, other than access to education for young people, because that brings the interest of the community into our spaces, the connection of the students into our spaces, campus into our spaces. And when they see that energy around a rivalry, it's all about the data you know about a team. You know, when we were talking about before the one and done phenomenon came into basketball, you would see a student athlete at their freshman year, then their sophomore year, and by then you know their story, their background, what's going on. Now you're fully invested within the brand of what it is. These days, you do that through rivalries. They understand what happened last year, what happened earlier in the fall, where are other teams at, what it's going to do, us that with a 2-point lead, how that's going to play out down the stretch. These are the things that garner interest in a community. And a lot of us have similar backgrounds because we're only 15 minutes away. So you used to play against some of these students in high school. The communities used to root for and against. People used to be on the same teams. And now it's different all across the country. So you're able to bring all these people back in this space, and people have context to what's happening. That's interest. That's why movies or TV shows get season 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, because you know the storyline, you're able to follow it. So that game means more. It just does. And being down at softball the other day to see the dramatic fashion and in which we got that extra, point for the Wagon Wheel Challenge made me very happy. And it warmed me up being out there on a cold day. You know what I mean? So, and it's just awesome story, as well. So the rivalries matter a lot more. They mean a lot more Even though we got some good friends and everything over there, and when it's go time, it's go time, and they understand and respect that too.
Oh yeah, no love lost between these programs at all. So again, you talked about it. A lot of the best things that have happened this year have happened behind the scenes. They've happened quietly. At times they've happened publicly. But for you personally, what's been the biggest challenge for you here in year one? I mean, I want to talk more about your vision on the other side of the break, but challenge-wise, year one, what's been the toughest thing for you this year?
Yeah, you're trying to move a boat in one direction. I mean, people use the trope. It's like herding cats. This isn't so much like herding cats. You know what I mean? Like, you're just trying to find something to get people's attention so we can share a definition. What does success mean? Well, we all have a different definition of success. What does leadership mean? Well, we all have a different definition of leadership. One of our top core values, family. Equity, that we'll be talking about tomorrow at our all-department meeting. What do these words mean? So now the biggest challenge is getting these examples in front of people and having them be communicated to different groups. Because leadership or any influence, it's not what happens when you're in a room. It happens when you're not in that room. And then that's how your message is getting across. Because many of plans can work, Tyler. The plan that works the best is the plan that we're all in line on and pulling in the same direction on. So that's been the biggest challenge thus far. But it's not been a problem. That just takes time. So ultimately the biggest challenge has been the things that you want to see and happen now that can't happen now, but you're going through the process. The good thing is I love processes. So sticking to a process, seeing the next iteration of the said process, those things are exciting to me because that helps me identify and track progress. So the challenge is wanting all these things done at the same time because you have a belief in what they're going to yield for us, but realizing that you have to go through all the steps to get it to take place.
Absolutely. We'll be back with more Randall Richmond here on Flash Life right after this. Now let's take a look at what happened during the winter seasons. The gymnastics team rang the victory bell after being named MAC champs, and 11 of the Golden Flashes earned academic All-MAC honors. The women's basketball team would break records on the court and earn a chance to play in the WNIT, making their deepest WNIT run in program history. The men's basketball team took a 14-game winning streak all the way to the MAC championship game and would get a chance to continue their postseason play at the Basketball Classic. And the Kent State wrestling team sent 2 athletes, Colin McCracken and Cody Kamara, to the NCAA tournament in Detroit, Michigan. And now back to Randale Richmond to discuss the vision of Kent State athletics moving forward. Back here on the season finale of Flash Life, Tyler Henry joined by the man, the myth, the legend, Kent State Athletics Director Randall Richmond. And Randall, one thing that I've noticed, this is my first year as well here at Kent State. And, again, I've been at a lot of universities. We have 17 different sports here. That's a lot of events, especially at home. But you've been present for an overwhelming majority. I wanted to ask you, how important to you is that visibility just to let these coaches and athletes know that, whether it's football, whether it's a smaller sport, you are there for every single program at this university?
The human desire to be seen, heard, valued, and when you see people who come and have an interest in what it is that you do and they're cheering you on, that feels pretty darn good. So for me, it's just being around our people, and we have leaders who are around these different groups. I want them to know that we support them to highest accord. While I can't be at everything, I have an interest in everything. I really believe that we're changing the lives and trajectory of young people in the most influential time of their lives. And what we do with these young people at this point in time is going to shape what the future becomes. Outside of maybe the ROTC, I think student athletes are the best potential leaders of tomorrow. I think they're going to have the greatest impact because of what they go through in terms of the discipline, in terms of learning how to be a part of a team, in terms of learning how to overcome adversity, in terms of developing and engaging within mind, body, and soul, in terms of mental health, physical health. I think our impact on these young folk is so important. So if I can go around and be seen there and learn a little bit more about their background, learn a little bit more about where they're from, a way to make them feel as if they belong here from whatever they may look at my position, then that to me is awesome to do. And for my family to be there as well, that to me is a beautiful thing because they talk about work-life balance. I don't know that it's a work-life balance. There's another thing I got from Dr. Bemper. He called it work-life infusion. So you have to infuse these two paths together. So these places are very welcoming for my family. So that gives us family time, seeing competition at its highest level, and then we're learning about the young folk. And one of the things that I do, I like to always find out what they're listening to. like music-wise. I think you learn a lot about people through music, because there's always going to be some type of thing that touches them, some type of story, and then that's going to tell you what their interests are. It's going to tell you what means something to them. So then you just try to meet them in that space, because we just want them to know that, listen, you're seen, you're heard, you're valued, you're part of us. We talk about, as an executive team, even a leadership team, this idea about, I'm so fascinated with Maya Angelou and the genius that she was. People forget what you said, what you did, but never how you made them feel. Showing up at these contests make our students feel as if they're valued. So that's something that we try to do to the best of our ability.
And Maya Angelou, she left her impact on this show as well. We had a chance to speak with her earlier this semester. In addition to everything else that you guys have done this year, from an off-the-field perspective, you guys have put a heavy emphasis on diversity and inclusion, on Title IX. We have seen a lot of good stuff throughout Black History Month. Students and administrators sharing their stories. What was kind of your vision coming into this year for some of that stuff? And again, take us through how well you feel like some of that was executed. Because again, from our perspective, it seems like that went very smoothly this year.
The vision is to yield the best talent and encourage engagement to the highest accord. I was talking to our volleyball coach, Haley Eckerman, earlier today. And it's so funny how we look at diversity or we look at inclusion, but we look at it in different spectrums and categories. But really, we should look at it in the same category. What you're trying to do is find the best people equipped to do a job. When we look at the Olympics and what's made America so dominant for all these centuries and decades, we look at it and we say, well, we have the melting pot of the world. We have everyone represented, and all you have to do is be the best at what you do, and you get access. And that's how we dominate. So why don't we look at that the same way in other spaces? And then not just this idea of saying, okay, we have diversity. Well, that just means that everyone's different. In the ground level and definition of diversity, that's fine to have. Well, then we have inclusion. Okay, that means that now you're here in this space. But that piece about equity, now you're like invited to the dance. You know what I mean? Now you're engaged, now you're involved, now you're part of us, and we're sharing these spaces. How that makes somebody feel, now they're grounded. That's one less thing they have to worry about in terms of this space. Now you're freed up emotionally and mentally to do your job to the best accord. And a lot of people have talent. When we make it to these different hires and these different positions and roles and what we've now established for people, a lot of people had talent to be in those positions. But if we can find people who are now freed up, they don't have to worry about whether they feel included or not, and then they can just now do their jobs, that's one less thing that's holding them back in terms of freeing them up. So I'm very excited about what we've been able to do here. And I have to give credit to campus too for creating that environment. And they were asking me about Kent State and what makes it so special and why do people stay here. People have been here for years, and the other people who left, it boomerangs them back, like myself and Greg. It's because of that idea about belonging. You find yourself here, you can be yourself here. It's a very eclectic environment, and people are going to encourage you to find out your best self. This journey of self-actualization. You can realize it here because no identity of who you might be is cut off. You get to explore it and find yourself, and then now you're freed up to have an impact on the world. So that I get really excited about that topic in terms of leadership. We see it in these other spaces. We darn sure have to see it in athletics.
Sure. You talked a little bit about that sense of belonging for our student athletes and really just for our students as a whole. And, I feel like around the country, you talk to a lot of athletes and they'll tell you they feel like they're part of a system, they're part of a machine.
That's right.
Kent State feels like more of a community, at least from what I've seen here in my first year.
That's right.
I know mental health has been a big conversational topic these last couple of weeks, a lot of relevance there. But again, how important and dedicated is Kent State to not only the success on the field like we talked about before, but also, as you previously mentioned, to the success and the mental health of our athletes?
Yes, it's so paramount. We spend all this time, focused on working on our bodies. You heard the trope, life's about balance, right? We spend all this time working on our bodies, but we forget the mind. This is the thing that carries us throughout the day. You know what I mean? And for some reason, we act as if this isn't a muscle or it doesn't need to be tended to, or these perspectives don't need to reach a surface of conversation. Well, if you don't, everything's just bottled in. And when has that ever been good for anything? In terms of us trying to be our best selves. So I've been happy we've been able to partner with Dr. Lamar Hilton, the VP, senior VP here on campus in the student affairs community, to have Dr. Kelly Tillett as one of the mental health counselors appointed to Kent State. That's been great for our student athletes. Our coaches and our staff going through education. Michelle Ruhr, who's over there in our athletic training area, she's going to be the main person running this student athlete health and well-being since from the top of the Mid-American Conference. So again, we are at the table of the groundbreaking areas of mental health. Now, how can we find the resources? And we will never have enough resources, Tyler,
of course,
for the things we want to do in that area. But what we can do is start to teach resiliency through through this journey. Because if you have these tools in your tool belt, and you're going through whatever you're going through this day, and you know the tool that you need to get you to that piece of help, well, then we want to equip you with that tool, because you might not be able to get in immediately. You got a whole number of people on campus who need to have the same needs. So if we're able to give some tools to get us through some of the initial issues surrounding mental health, hopefully we can avoid some of those critical issues of mental health. So we're dedicated towards it. We're on this journey of being educated on it and figuring out for our students and our young people, but it's a thing, it's real, and we need to start making sure that we're supporting it.
Yeah, we talked a little bit about resources before, and I know it's been a long wait for these programs, but it was announced a couple of weeks ago, softball and gymnastics will be getting brand new facilities. I mean, again, a long wait for those two, but how important was it, how cool was it for you to be the first AD to bring those facilities to these programs?
I'll tell you what, that's another partnership with campus. We talked about the boring stuff. We talked about alignment at the beginning of this year a whole lot over the summer. And aligning with campus to show the importance of these facilities and what they're going to do. And realizing that women's sports can yield. I was sending something around to a number of our staff yesterday and today. You know, there's an institution that just had this 13 women initiative where they've had women graduates each of them give $1 million. It can yield. And we saw another one this morning. There was a different college that this one former female student athlete and coach left back $2.2 million to go towards women's sports. Our very own Judy Devine is going to name the Divine Diamond in her contribution, what that's going to mean for the number of our female student athletes as we move forward. Like, these things are special, and campus understands that vision as well. So we're able to partner with them about some critical needs that we had within our gymnastics pits, and some critical needs that we had on our softball fields. We had certain contests being canceled because the field wasn't playable. So an opportunity to have turf out there, the opportunity to have upgraded, dugouts up there where bees aren't flying around. They're swinging at the bees before they swing at the ball, right? So these are the things, no conditions that student athletes should have to be under. But it takes us to have campus support and private support to see these things come through. And what I want to do is, it goes back to that numbers game. I want to use this as the platform to cast the widest net possible for anyone who understands and sees this vision of supporting women's sports. Because Kent State University, we've had comprehensive excellence, and that's what makes us special across the board. And a lot of our women's sports have been at the very top and leading out the gate. So I think now it's time to tap into those alumni, tap into that community, and say, okay, now let's take it to the next level. And we have the coaches, the leadership, the campus, the synergy to do so right now. So we're going to use this, especially in the year of the 50th year of Title IX. We couldn't have lucked up for a better time to have these initiatives. It's time to show that it can yield to the highest level.
Well, and we've seen too, like you said, if you build it, they will come. Not
That's
just
right.
with the facilities, but with the support as well. You see that the more and more women's sports are televised, the more the viewership rises.
Right.
It's a simple matter of giving people a way that they can consume it, and Kent State's done a good job with that. So Randall, obviously, again, a lot of stuff has happened here in your first year. But moving forward, what is kind of your vision and your hope for the future of Kent State athletics?
That vision to be a nationally recognized, comprehensive athletic program that inspires communities and transforms lives. Right? That's the pie in the sky deal that we want to do. And then it comes down more tangible as we go into year 2 of our strategic plan launch. So this first year is establishing the foundation. So we got our mission, we got our vision, we have our guiding principle. Now let's go ahead. Here are the behaviors that share the definition. This thing that Tim Kite has called the performance pathway. It says that leadership drives your culture drives your behaviors drive your results. All right, so we've set this idea of leadership. We're sharing the definitions of what we mean by our culture, and we're giving you examples so you can see the behaviors. This upcoming year, as we dive deeper into each category of our strategic plan, that's when we start to put in the tangible portions of it. That's when we start to see the traction. We got the shared definition, we have the philosophy, we know what we're all here for, we know our general roles in it. Now each person begin to act in their roles, and now it starts to come together. So this is that year we start putting those pieces all together. I say if the foundation is the most important piece of the house, now we're putting up the framing. Right? We're going to start bringing in some siding. And then in year 3, we start to look at how we bring in the furniture, the carpet, the artwork, and, that type of deal. So that's that progression we're on. So processes get me excited, especially when I know we put the time in for the vision. Now comes the execution. And that's what keeps you moving. Because like Lang said, it's always funner when you're building it than to maintain it. We're doing a lot of building. That's exciting.
Yep, absolutely. We will step away very briefly here on the series finale of Flashlight, but when we come back, we'll have a little fun with Mr. Richmond here on Flash Life. And finally, let's wrap things up with our spring sports. The lacrosse team graduated their first class of seniors and would set a program record for regular season wins at 6, making their first postseason appearance in the process. The women's golf team would obtain yet another MAC title, remaining perfect with 23 consecutive championships and getting an opportunity to continue their season at regionals. The men's golf team would also ring the bell, winning their 6th consecutive MAC championship and participating in their regional. The women's track and field team placed 4th in the Mid-American Conference, led by individual performances by Myangel Daniels and Leah Pascaletti. And on the men's side, Jake Wicke would be the national runner-up in the hammer throw. As the outdoor seasons wrap up, the Flashes will prepare for the NCAA Outdoor Championships in Oregon. The softball team wrapped up their final season at the Diamond at Dix and broke ground on the new Divine Diamond that will be unveiled next year. And the Kent State baseball team is still battling it out for one of 4 spots in this year's Mid-American Conference tournament. Throughout the year, we got to know some of our student athletes in the lightning round. Let's hear what the AD has to say. Back here one last time on the series finale of Flash Life. Tyler Henry joined by Kent State Athletic Director Randall Richmond. Randall, no coach, no player, no AD is exempt from the lightning round here at the end of our show. We're going to get to know you a little bit better. You ready for this?
Absolutely.
All right.
Season finale, baby. Let's go.
All right. You are chosen at random to compete in either your choice of the Summer or Winter Olympics. What event do you think you have the best shot at competing?
Ooh, curling.
Curling?
Yeah,
wow.
Curling. That's right.
Did not expect that.
That's right.
I'm here for it. All right, if you could only listen to one song for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Feeling It by Jay-Z. That's my happy song.
You had that ready to go.
That's right. That's my happy
quick.
song, man. It gets me focused.
All right. Which member of the Kent State administration, I'll put you on the spot here, would be best suited to win a dance-off?
Ooh, that is really good. Trent Stratton.
Okay. And that's aside from yourself, right?
That's right.
I know we've seen you do a little
listen,
dance
I'm
on
not going to
Instagram.
lie. I would dominate, but Trent Stratton's the number 2.
All right, fair enough. Would you rather fight 100 duck-sized horses or 1 horse-sized duck?
Ooh, 1 horse-sized duck. Did I get lucky? It's gone. The horses, the 100 duck-sized horses? Yeah. Nah, no chance.
You just need the one hit.
No, yeah. I need one chance. I need one shot.
All right, what number am I thinking?
7.
You got it. He's good. All right, we've asked all of our athletes this. These have been some hotly debated topics.
Yes.
In the world, are there more wheels or doors?
Oh, man, that is a good one. Are there more wheels or doors?
Yep.
Is this tangible or is this like existential? Because doors, a door to this, a door to that. I'm going doors.
Doors?
I'm gonna open up the definition.
Okay.
There's more doors.
Randall is on team doors.
There's more doors.
On the record. All right. This is the most important question we'll ask you on the show at any point. So far, every student athlete has gotten this right. I'm hoping you can complete the circuit here.
Oh man.
Does pineapple belong on pizza?
Yes, because my wife says so. Listen,
you know
it's not my choice.
You know what? For the explanation, I'll give it to you.
Because my wife says so. I get the Supreme, she gets the Hawaiian. That's how we bring balance into our household.
That is fair. I will give you that one. If you could snap your fingers and change one thing about collegiate athletics, what would it be?
Ooh, I think the alignment. We just aren't fully aligned as of yet. And it's happening. The transformation in athletics is real. This is our flying wedge moment, i.e. when the NCAA was first born during the Teddy Roosevelt presidential time period. This is our flying wedge, the foundational, monumental change of the definition and organizational structure of the collegiate athletics. So alignment would be the main thing, and I think that changes.
All right, Randall, open floor for you. Anything left that you want to plug? Anything left you want to say before we head out for the day?
Now, what I do want to say is I appreciate you all and all the stuff going on. You all don't see everything that I see behind the scenes over here and what these people are doing, but these are all young folk, really putting in a lot of effort for Kent State athletics. And this was a vision. I want to give Nick Kane a shout out. This is a vision that he's talked about for some time. And here we are in year 1 getting it going. I was probably here a month, and he had talked to me about this idea to the point that I was calling the Kane Studios. And I didn't know how we were going to fill it in, but what it's done is given an opportunity for more content, not only our fans, but for our students and our staff to be featured. And this is putting a lot of good energy, positivity, and information out to the world. So to me, this is one of those things, when we talk about things that we did well, this is one of those things we did well.
All right, Randall, thank you so much for your time.
Brother.
Appreciate it.
You too.
And live one final time from the Nick Kane Studios, Tyler Henry, Randall Richmond, want to say thank you so much for tuning in all semester long. This has been Flash Life, and hopefully we'll see you around next year right here on GFTV. Congratulations to all of our student athletes on another great year filled with individual and team championships, memorable moments, and fans back in the stands for the first time since 2020. That's all we've got for you this season. Be sure to check out GFTV for more podcasts and videos with Kent State Athletics, and we'll see you next season on Flash Life. As we go, here are some behind-the-scenes outtakes from this season's production of Flash Life. Flashes are alive. Da, 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 da. Bada bing, bada boom. Baby Flash, do 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 do. Dun, dun, dun. Dun, 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 dun. 3, 2, 1. Residents as far northeast of Pennsylvania have been issued an official warning to watch out for the ball that Lippy hit, as conference officials believe it still has not yet come down.